All right, hello everybody. Here we are back on episode 2 of the digital version of Mr. President. I hope you enjoyed the last one, the introduction and pre-work, and we are now ready to jump into the first quarter, which I'm hoping that this will be enough for our first episode, or second episode, of actually going through the first quarter of the first year of the McDaniel presidency. And so let's move on to see what China's gonna do. All right, so the first thing that it does is it checks victory. Again, a nice feature on this digital version. You have to actually go in and count all of the influence markers. And if you notice right over here, that's this right here. They're at 4. They are 11 away, so no, it ain't happening yet, thankfully. But we got to keep an eye. On those China influence markers. Russia is the one we probably need to put our eyes on first. But notice here there are 5 flipped tension counters, and this is what I mentioned to you in the region. They're all and our allies. They're these tension counters. And what they basically do, let's see if it'll pop up. So like you can see, the posture changes. There's a +1, here we go. Tension markers track nervousness and agitation in your allies, rivals, and your cabinet. 0 to 2, when an ally activates, high tensions can erode your relations with that ally, as well as driving their unilateral action towards a more aggressive or risky action. Rivals are more likely to adopt a posture 2. And so if you notice here, they had a +1, +1, a no effect, a +2, and a +1. So that was 5. Let's see if it has anything. And so it says that China's posture does not change to 2. I forgot how this one was calculated, but 5, current posture 1, relations with the U.S. 4. So apparently no change. I guess 5 minus 4 equals 1. I guess that's how it works. I don't know. Next, relations with the U.S. It does lead to a anti-U.S. trend. So if you'll notice up here, right now it is at a 4. It's a pretty, that's a pretty good place actually, but because of that, it's going to change the marker to trending anti-US. Most of the markers on this whole game, if you'll notice that's trending, it takes 2 times to move it to the next space. You'll notice over here, under Central and South Asia, the trending anti-US marker, it takes 1 more and it will go down to 4. You can reverse it, but again, it takes a lot of work to get some of these tracks going. If we wanted to improve relations with PRC, we'd have to do some work with that on some of our foreign policy actions that we take place. All right, that's the next one. So what happens after that's all calculated is, I believe that the old, in the physical game, the old tension counters go back into the bucket, and then they get back half rounded up. So they're going to get 3 tension markers. There we go. From 5. So that's pretty good. Now, next that China does is it moves to improve its strategic capabilities. You're going to see the same thing when Russia does it. So their current posture is 1, therefore they get 2 improvement attempts. Be 3 if they were at posture 2, which would be more of an aggressive posture towards the United States. And so we move back over here. We're going to roll a die. Remember I told you in the last one that these numbers, these die symbols here, are what you roll. So we're going to roll 1, and it's 7. And that one is improving recon and intel gathering. Wait a minute, that doesn't seem right. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, The first one was strategic recon and intel gathering. And so they rolled a 7, so 5 to 10 is no effect on that one. Now they get another one. And this one is going to be to try to improve their missiles. Where is that one at? Oh, strategic missiles and missile defense. And that's a 3, so it is going to go up. And so notice here, it ties up with the United States. Next action is to conduct espionage. So right now, they get 1 attempt. I think that's tied to if China's relations is at a 1 or a 2 and posture is 2, they make 2 attempts. Otherwise, they make 1. So they're going to try to do conduct espionage. Now, again, in the physical game, this is another book you'd have to go to. Notice again, so we're going to do a die roll. And notice this is, again, I think one of the best things about the digital version is you don't have to calculate, which this takes a while to actually read through these small DRMs in the booklets. But here, we just know it's a -1. It's over here. We're going to roll a die. It's going to be a result of 6. So they are going to attempt to steal military secrets and war plans. If possible, increase the strength of a U.S. opponent by 2 in any current war, or a U.S. ally's opponent if no eligible U.S. opponent. Otherwise, create that. So let's see what happens here. Looks like they're going to... they did not add to the strength. There's one war going on right now, and that's, of course, against Al-Qaeda in Afghanistan. But what they did is they increased their relative strength versus Japan. So right now, China is at a +2. So if they go to war, they're going to have a definite advantage in that conflict. So that allowed them to do that. Now they're going to attempt to improve their economy. 1 to 5, it's going to improve it. Again, remember, they need... They did make it DRM. Let's see, a result of 1. They're going to be able to place an improving economy counter on China, and you'll notice that right there is what happened. So if they successfully do this again, they'll move up to a 6. So again, that's kind of how those improving markers and anti-markers work. Now we calculate the number of China actions. Because they're at a 6, or because of their economic value is at a +1, they get 6. So that's 5 + 1. So that gives them 6 actions. Again, based on how their economy is doing. If it's worse, then they're going to have less. And then the number at the bottom of their relations right now. So you'll notice up here, I don't know what's under that one, but because it's there, it's a 0. So it's a 0, neutral is 0, and 4 is 0. So there's, if they're adversaries, they would get, you see these numbers here, 2 and 1. Or their friends, it would reduce their actions that they get to do. So their total actions are going to be 6. So again, this is the money that they're spending. And again, there's a whole booklet just for Russia, or for China and for Russia. So the very first thing they're going to do, if there is at least 5 total terror group levels in Central South Asia region, use 1 China action to remove a terror level from the largest group in the region. This represents China dealing with internal dissent among ethnic, political, and religious opposition. So there are 5. No. So okay, right now there's only 3 terror group levels. So there's 1 and 2. That makes for 3. So I don't think that's going to take place there. No, it doesn't. Obviously. Next, they're going to see if they're going to spend an action to quell internal dissent. This is against, if there's any uprisings within. This is how that's factored. That is a 10, so there is no, it does not no effect, so it doesn't cost an action. So they're still at 6 because they weren't able to do the first 2. Again, the book, there's a large number of actions that you just kind of go sequentially until you expend 6. You can go through, and you might go through a number of actions and know if nothing happens, and therefore those actions don't happen. So now there are no sanctions right now. Again, this is there's no change because there are no sanctions, so that's not going to cost them. They still have 6, so they go to the next one. So that brings us to cyber attacks. There's an interesting note here. The game I played, the physical, I did it on Tabletop Simulator. The long recording, you could find that in the playlists that we're currently in. But there, with the George W. Bush scenario, which is what I did right after 9/11, there were no cyber activities. Interesting. So this will be turned off or skipped when that scenario actually gets put into place. All right. So they're still going to have 6. Or they're going to try to do a cyber attack. So let's see here. We're going to roll a die. We get a 9. Target Japan or the Republic of Korea. Success will decrease the ally relationship for either Japan or the Republic of Korea. And a major success will decrease. So let's see what happens. We have a 1 to 3 major success, 4 to 9 success, and a 10 a failure. Ooh, 3, that's a major success. And so we'll notice, So both Japan and the Republic of Korea moved from very close allies to close. So that's, again, a diplomatic solution. We can do a diplomatic action to try to save that. So that takes, you'll notice, in the China Acts, there's 5 actions remaining. Next is One Belt, One Road. And this will place a trending anti-U.S. counter on China's relation with the U.S. track, and then enact the Belt and Road procedure using this list of Belt and Road regions. And this is where it takes a while to work through these, but this is going to automatically do that. So let's take a look. Again, this automatically does that. You'll notice it's adding China influence there to Eastern Europe. Place 1 China influence counter in the 2 Belt and Road regions where China has the fewest influence. That's where you'd have to go and count, but it does it automatically for you. Now place 2 tension counters on China and 1 tension counter on Japan, India, Australia, the Republic of Korea, Gulf States, Saudi Arabia, and Russia. So a bunch of tension counters are going to get added out here. Man, look at that. Just blowing up all over the place. And then this will finish up in Russia with some more tensions. All right. So that takes them down to the end of China Acts. Again, if they have additional actions and they run out of the options, then it does that. Now, we can do 3 actions. So again, I'm gonna you press the tab there to lower it. Let's go and first take a look at where I always check first. Is I'm looking here. I've got. Let's zoom in a little bit. Again, when you have bad eyes like I do, these are sometimes very challenging to read. I think right now things are manageable, but I always check first the domestic crisis and the lingering domestic issues. We kind of want to keep it at 1 on both of them for right now. Another thing to note about CONUS is you have Air Force units. You have an Air Force unit, you've got a Marine Corps unit, you have a carrier unit, special ops, and an intel advisor. that you can deploy. These are currently based in the United States. And so if a region blows up, like if I wanted to add to Central Asia where the Afghanistan operation is happening, I could move a carrier over. Or if I want to put pressure, on some region, like if I wanted to move it to the North Atlantic, that carrier group will affect both the Eurozone and Central America. You can see the lines here. And so if I want to put the Marines in a carrier here into this deployment zone, that's where I would move them to. Obviously, the Air Force and or special ops, or if I want to focus on intel, I can move that to a region. But right now, I think that's fine. The other thing I want to check is kind of the crisis levels in other countries. What we want kind of to do here is to make sure, obviously, we need to make sure there's no 3s anywhere. So there's a 2 there. South America has a 1. That's in pretty good shape. Here's a 3 right here in Africa. So what we're going to do is our first action is going to try to move this regional crisis away from major crisis. We got the same problem up here in the Middle East. They're at 3 as well. We go up here to Europe. We're doing well there. We're doing well in Eastern Europe. We're doing kind of okay here in Central South Asia. And then Asia Pacific, we're doing well. So I want to do, do these 2 regions. I'm going to use 2 of my actions. Again, I have 3. Again, that's based on the, I'm wondering where I got that 3 from. Let me go over here to the map, and you'll notice, so we did China, it acted. Then it moves down to the next thing, and that is any 3 actions. So this is where we're going to attempt to take care of those 2 3-level regional crises. So domestic, we're going to hold off right now on, and we'll check and see. So we have crisis relief. This is what we want to look at. We're going to take that action. And we are going to target Africa. We'll do Africa first. Here we're going to have to roll a die. We have a -1 already. Now notice here, if regional stability is at 6 or higher, this is where that helps. You would get an additional die roll modifier. We need a 1 through 6. And okay, great. We got a 2, which results in a 1. This is huge because it's going to decrease the regional crisis in the region by 2 boxes. So wonderful job. Great job there on decreasing or dealing with that crisis. The next, we're going to do this again for our second action. And we're going to target here. We're going to roll the die. Again, we're hoping for low. We get a -1. And that's a 7. It's no effect. Now, I have 17 action points over here. Now, my first run through of this earlier today, I used up all my action points before the end. Again, you want to spend them. You can do things with them. But I think we're early enough. I do not want a major thing. And if I can get a really low number, if I get a 1 or a 2, I got a 4. That's okay. That's going to decrease the regional, or actually it's a 3, but it's going to decrease that by 1 box. And so you'll notice, let me drop this and I'll show you. You'll notice here in the Middle East, that dropped from a 3 to a 2, which is manageable for the moment. Okay, I think we're good on, let's check on some of these other things. Now, we could do, we'll go back here and see, because we've got these chit pulls that are going to happen next. That's going to be a really big deal. Let me check and make sure domestically we're right where we want to be. Now, if you'll notice, if you remember, the bipartisan cooperation. So this is a domestic issue. Let me zoom in here. We're at 0. It's contentious. So what I want to do, let's go to diplomatic, is we want to, or domestic rather, we want to improve relations with Congress. So we're going to spend another action point because we really want this to work. And we're going to roll a die and let's hope. Oh, actually, no, that's the wrong one. This is the wrong track. I'm going to come back here and explain what I'm doing. Bipartisan cooperation is what we need to find. Encourage bipartisanship in Congress. Here we go. We're going to roll a die because we want to move the bipartisan cooperation counter right one box on the bipartisan cooperation track. And it's a 4. That is no effect. We are going to go ahead and spend. And that worked now. But I paid a price. I mean, I'm down to 14 action points. So I need to be careful. And let's see. Not try to use more than 4 per quarter. But we got a long way to go through. We're gonna draw chits. We've got allies and rogue states, and then the cabinet focus. We got a legislative segment coming up. We got to draw another chit, and then we get 4 diplomatic or military actions. So we're going to work on terror groups with that. So now we're going to draw a chit and see what happens. Okay, it tells us that we're going to draw 2 crisis cards. Now notice this also have continuing results. And so what that means, it's going to go into a special deck where we have to revisit that card, and it has additional effects. So let's go ahead and do that. This card here. So these are the ones that you think you got everything under control. You're working in the world and at home. And then this is the news, the Fox News alert, and you got a problem. So increasing pirate attacks target energy supply lines through the Strait of Malacca. Strait of Malacca. Sounds like something Trump would say. But notice what's going to happen. +1 to regional crisis. Again, this was a good thing that we worked on regional crises, but this is over in the Asia Pacific region. We're going to place additional tension counters. Now, we can also spend 2 action points. That's going to drain that even more. If I choose not to, if I roll a 1 to 5, we're going to get a +1 regional crisis in Asia Pacific. So do I want a regional crisis? Or do I want to keep that 2 action points about sending the Navy? So let's just go here and look at what we're talking about. Okay, so I don't want 2 being added to the regional crisis. Let's get over. Man, it's just a great looking game. We want to get over here to the Asia Pacific. Trying to make this the right size. Yep. On my computer, I have this is on Parallels, which runs my Windows base. Just want it to go, there we go. All right. Get this up here. So notice, that moved that to 2. If I don't send the Navy, then that's going to go to a 3. It's possible it will go to a 3. So they've added, look at this. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 terror groups. if we don't deal with these terror groups, in other words, we'll want to start gathering intelligence. So we might want to send an intel advisor from America. We may want to deploy that because that'll give us additional ability or additional dice roll modifier. If it grows to, it can grow up to a 4 level. But what we want to do is start gathering, locating, and then targeting the terror groups and eliminating them off the board because they turn into rogue states that start civil wars, and then you got all kinds of problems because these things terror groups will kill you in this game. They just will. All right, the next thing is it's going to add some tension counters to to all of these regions. Good Lord. If I don't spend, I don't want to try. I'm going to spend the 2 action points. So that will take care of, I don't have to worry about that. Next one. NGOs unite to combat crisis. A -1 regional crises in any 2 world regions. This is good. This is a very, very good one. So let's take a look. Again, what we want to do is make sure we don't have any 3s, and I don't think we do. No, looks like we've got 2s. So I'm going to I get to do 2 regions, and so I'm going to spend 2 here, or 1 there, and the other one is going to be the Middle East always blows up, man. We're going to try to stabilize the Middle East. So we have taken care of that card. Okay, now, because there was a plus on this draw crisis cards. Oh, I thought this was a lingering event. Disregard what I said earlier. This just means that 2 cards get played out. So here we draw a chit, and it's going to be 3 crisis cards. So that's 5 crisis cards, and we haven't gotten through half a year yet. God, this is going to kill me. I think it could be good things, or it could be bad. But this is a good one. Sinai Province Terror Group launches raids against army throughout Egypt. No, this is bad. This is a bad card. What was I thinking? We're going to add 1 to the regional crises in Africa, because against the Sinai, it's next to Egypt. And then +1 to the regional crisis. And there's going to be a level 1 terror group added to Africa and the Middle East. And 1 tension counter to Israel. Because again, the Sinai is next to Israel. Jeez. So there we got a regional. We had Africa basically. If we hadn't done that earlier, that's why we need to deal with these regional crises levels. You can get in trouble really quick because the major crisis is a bad dude. So okay. Again, remember I said the Middle East, so we're good. Okay, oh man. China reinforces troops near Indian border. This is another negative card. Again, you do occasionally get good crisis cards, but most of the time they're like this. Notice 2 tension counters on China and India. And then China, this is going to be a bad deal for China and India. So you're going to see the conflict status change on this. So let's go here. Tensions go up. They're up to 8. Remember, they were at 3 at the beginning of this round. Now they're going to increase China's relative strength. And they're going to increase the China-India conflict track by 1. So notice, so that was at 1, and now it's at 2, which again, we're still far away from war. But China is plussing up in the strength department. That means they're going to have an advantage if they do go to war. Okay. So we have done that card. Next card. Heightened tensions in conflict zones. Gosh. Make a D10 roll. Select a random conflict status track. Again, that's that little die number thing above. It's going to pick one and increase the tracks. So this would be bad if it's China, India. Let's roll the dice. And we got a 1. Yep, it's China, India. Oh my gosh. And an 8. Oh my gosh. So Israel and their neighbors are one step away from war. So we're going to have to use our foreign policy or diplomacy action to do that. Thankfully, we don't have a lot of bad stuff going on domestically. Oh man. So this is where it starts getting really dicey. I think that was just card 2. Now we got to do another card. Nope. Thank God. Okay. Now we got to draw another chit. This would be bad if it's another 2 or 3. Okay. Ally Group C. Oh, I guess it was a no effect. So now we move to another booklet. And this is going to be our allies, and then a rogue state or an adversary basically gets to do it. And the regions are all randomized into 4 different groups, and so that happens each quarter of the game. So so there's 2 tensions. Oh, this is Australia. They have 2 tensions. Notice here, and they get there are 2 joint actions that are going to happen. So what we basically want to do here is we want to do intel, because I think these things automatically take place. Yeah, we want to target this number 2 group. And the next thing we want to do, this ally may only act in its own region. So they're going to try to do their own region, and it's a positive effect. So that lowered that down to 1, which is good. Next, Israel's going to act. Now, this can be bad. There are already tensions. They're already one step away from war, and Israel can go to war. And then all kinds of things happen. Man, we're at 32 minutes. I may have to end this pretty soon and move the second part of this quarter to another episode. We'll take a look on where we're at right after this. So they get to act, and then there's 2 joint actions that take place. So we're going to do intel, and yeah, we got so many terror groups. Look at this. 1 and 2. All right. De-escalate. Okay, here what we want to do is decrease that. So we're going to take an action. And we want to try to help de-escalate this conflict. And we need a 1 to 7. Great. Oh, whew. Okay. That's going to bring it back up from 1 step to war. That is good. Now we're going to select a tension to remove from this ally. Whoops. Oh, man, I missed it. I guess I've already lost that opportunity. Oh, well. Man, India acts now. They got 5 tension counters. Man. No joint actions by India and us because of that, I believe. Now, we're going to check unstable states. So what we want is a low dice roll. We have regional stability. Another reason to get it down low is you want to get them up to 7, you get a -2. Because this is relatively unstable, there's going to be a +1 on the die roll marker. So there's a 3. We get to remove an unstable state. Well, that's good. Do it again. 2. That's a result of a 3. That's another one. That is excellent. That's really good. 2 unstable states were removed from the Middle East. Let's hopefully we can get the same result down in Africa. Oh no. Result of a 10, civil war breaks out. An unstable state, this is what I was telling you, is now switched to civil war. That is not a good thing. Let's hope this other one, there we go. We get to remove one. So we kind of split the difference. That's pretty good. So, whoa. Let me roll the die here. So this is a 3. We roll for priority 6. There's no effect. This is going to do these results here if I'm able to get a 1. Now we're going to go up, and this next one's going to be 1 to 2, then 1 to 3, 1 to 4, and 1 to 5. So next is going to be the cabinet focus. 6, not successful. Improve relations with Congress. A 1. There we go. It's going to go up by 1 box. That's a good thing. It's collegial. Priority 3, we need a 1 through 3. That works. We get either a +3 to public approval or +1 to public approval and 1 to media relations. I'm going to do +1 to public approval. That takes us to a 48. And media relations are then friendly. That's a pretty good deal. Next, we're going to roll for priority number 2. We need a 1 to 4. And we got a 4. -1 to domestic crisis. That's a good thing. Now we're at 0 there. That's a good thing. And priority 1, we need a 1 to 5 on Homeland Security. We rolled a 6. Thankfully, there are no terror groups in the United States. I think... Okay, so here we're in this box here. We're going to go ahead and end. After this is done, we're going to end this episode. What happened here was, you'll notice in this box, -1 box media relations. That happens, so what we gained, we lost. And we are going to stop here on 2 domestic actions. So thanks again for joining in. Again, comment if you have any questions. Happy to answer them. Again, I've done a lot of work on this game with the tabletop version, physical copy, and then this has been a lot of fun. So thank y'all for joining in, and we will see you on the next episode of Evolution of Warfare.